What were your hopes and dreams for year one of your business? Or if you're just setting up, what are they? Let's take a look at some of the key factors that when setting up your business, setting your goals, and you check in on them are potentially key to you. So the first one I think, which is really, really important, is to be realistic about what can be achieved. Yes, we can all dream big. Yes, if you don't set a high standard, you might not reach it. But by setting a really, really expansive goal means that you only get disappointment when you don't achieve it. So, don't undervalue what you can do, but don't over-egg it either. So be realistic about what can be achieved. Set yourself regular opportunities to review your goals, what you've achieved, and maybe reset expectations if you undercut it and you're doing a lot better. Or if you think, well, maybe that was a little bit too hard for me to achieve in year one, maybe I need to readdress it. Because at the end of the day, what none of us want is to be disappointed at the end of year one. We want to think we've actually achieved something, to have a positive end to the first year. And if you set a goal of leaving my £70,000 a year job and drinking mojitos on the beach by the end of year one, then I can tell you, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So make your goals and your expectations realistic and set up review points within the year, usually quarterly within a business, as to what the goal was, what you've achieved. Is it positive? Is it not? Why didn't you achieve it? And then maybe reset your expectations and adjust your goals for moving forward. If you have too high an expectation and you don't meet it, maybe not on the first occasion that happens, but on multiple occasions afterwards, you'll end up quitting. And some people quit within a few months because they can't meet their expectations. But if you had reduced those expectations or been realistic about expectations, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. Because really, you should be giving a business probably 18 months to 2 years to give you a really, really good indication as to whether it's going to work for you or not. And you need to move on to something else. So having too high an expectation can also lead, sadly, to you quitting, sometimes within just a few months. I guess the primary thing that we're all really, really guilty of, and I'm guilty of this as well, is of comparing yourself to others. People posting selfies on social media about how successful they are. And it could be those beach photographs with the palm trees or an expensive car or a lovely home or whatever it is. We are all guilty of comparing ourselves to others. But, we're all on our own journeys. You can't compare yourself with someone else. And at the end of the day, a lot of people who post on social media about this kind of stuff actually aren't doing as well as they're saying. They're doing it to try to make everybody else believe that they're successful because that's what they want. And at the end of the day, it's what we all want. But stop comparing yourself to others because you don't have to. Go on your own journey, set your own expectations, work in your own way, and you will achieve a lot more than you will do by comparing yourself with someone on a tropical beach somewhere drinking mojitos. So what is okay? What can you say to yourself is, okay, I've done my first year of setting up my sourcing business and operating it. I've done okay. So if you're in your first year of sourcing, and you're probably only doing it part-time, as a lot of you are and how I started, and you haven't replaced that salary yet, that's okay. It's to be expected. Some people might be able to do that, but they will be in the minority and not the majority. And this is for the long term, remember. It's not short term, you're setting up a business. So not having replaced your £70,000 a year salary in year one is okay. If you're still setting up and getting everything in place, that's okay. Remember, it's your journey. Everyone is different. What does a genuinely brilliant first year actually look like? What might you have achieved? Well, let's bring it back down to planet Earth, shall we? And let's deal with the dreaming and the exaggeration as to what can be achieved in a month, in 3 months, in whatever time. The 10K a month by week 6 that some people promise sets you up to fail. Because as I said earlier, if you haven't reached that, you feel like you failed. And actually you haven't. Setting up a business and building it and building the trust and building the client base, building your knowledge, your systems, your ability to be able to run it smoothly will take you an awful lot longer than 6 weeks, even 6 months for most people. So planet Earth means that we have to be realistic about what can be achieved, an honest picture as to what most sourcing agents find they can achieve within the first year. And that includes myself as well. It took me 13 months to get my first deal completed over the line and the first check payment. Yes, I said it, it's a check, and I still have a copy of it laminated somewhere in the office. It was a check payment. So the honest picture. Most sources will get 1 or 2 deals over the line in year 1. And that's perfectly normal. In fact, that's good. Some agents, like myself, it took me 13 months. Some it takes 18 months. It depends on you and your journey. As long as financially you're okay, as long as you're setting up your business in your timeline, you've got a full-time job, you've got a family, whatever else it is, whatever else it is, it's right for you. It is, remember, this is your journey. So think of year 1 as doing the groundwork. If you think of year 1 as doing the groundwork, if you achieve anything else, you've overachieved, which is a much more positive way of looking at it, rather than thinking I'm going to earn 70,000 this year and then I can give up my job and failing miserably on that. So think of it as doing the groundwork. So what is the groundwork? Building relationships with estate and lettings agents, maybe even solicitors, independent wealth advisors, builders and other trades. We started building relationships with estate and lettings agents and independent wealth advisors very, very early. Why? Because they bring you your bread and butter stuff. They're your link in to potential properties or land that are coming to the market, potential sales that you may be able to provide to your buyers. And the independent wealth advisors are great to have in your armory as people that you can refer your investors to, because not everyone, when they come to you, will have already taken independent advice as to what is the best way for them to invest their cash. And not always is it property. Just because they've attended a course and they think property is a great opportunity, they could have tens of thousands of pounds worth of debt, inherited some money, and putting it into property for them at that time might not be the best thing to do. And I can tell you now that most sourcing agents and deal packages out there never even consider asking if they've taken advice. So, getting your compliance sorted. Of course, I'm going to talk about compliance. That's what I talk about an awful lot. But getting your compliance sorted, your insurance and all of your registrations, etc., is really key as well. But also so is getting systems and templates set up. Systems, because how are you going to deal with a seller when they express an interest in working with you? How are you going to deal with a buyer when they express an interest in working with you? And what systems will you use to handle all of that? So maybe a call booking system, a CRM, somewhere to hold sensitive personal data, a secure vault holding system. And templates set up, such as data capture forms, agreements, all of that kind of thing that you need in place to be able to operate your business. Onboarding your first investor. And I can tell you, there isn't much of a better feeling than that when you're setting up your sourcing business. That first investor comes along and says, yes, I want to work with you, and starts working with you, and you're onboarding them to your business. That first happy client who will go on to recommend you. And I can tell you from experience of 13 years of running a business, after about the first 3 years, we never had to advertise for investors. We got them word of mouth, or they came to us because of what we were doing. Building your reputation at meetings, at networking, and on social media. So start to build that and start to create a plan for yourself as to how much of what you're going to do in a month, but keep it consistent. Now, all of those things are assets that will pay you out either by the end of year one, if you're doing really, really well, or certainly into year two. But the other thing to remember is to celebrate every single milestone. And sometimes we forget to celebrate the successes because we just accept them and then we move on. And I always remember when I published my book, which was back in 2017, and we got notification that we were Amazon #1 bestseller, that I have a photograph somewhere with a bottle of champagne, bubbly, 2 glasses, set on a little table. We had the log burner in the background on, and we had a drink, and then we opened up the laptops and we went back to work. That was our celebration. But whatever you do, set yourself a target, your targets, your goals, and say, when I achieve this target, this goal, I'm going to do this to celebrate as a, something really lovely to do. So what are some of the milestones that you can look at achieving in year one? What about having your full compliance in place? And of course, becoming a NAPSA approved member. I'm going to say that on there. What about first investors to get in touch and ask if they can have a chat with you? First chat completed either with a seller or a buyer. First agent who calls you with a potential deal. First clean, compliant transaction is going through, is being sorted, is in conveyancing. That first fee in the bank, you will never forget that first fee. I've never forgotten mine. Believe it or not, it was for £1,500, and it was January 2013. And I set up in January 2012. So I might just have hit the 12-month mark. That first fee in the bank. The first repeat inquiry. So you've worked with an investor and they're coming back for more. The first referral, an investor that you've worked with refers you to someone else and they come to you for a chat. Your first deal completed. You know, I always try, excuse me, to celebrate milestones. They are the real wins, and they're far more meaningful than any vanity income figure that you could set up as a turnover for your first year in business. And what they do is they pay you off in year two, because patience is absolutely key. Patience compounds your business and your actions. The connections that you made in year one, the work that you put in year one is what will generate the deal flow in year 2 and 3, and then grow and grow and grow. So my final thought for today is this. Think of year one as your foundation, your grounding year. There's not generally an income in year one. There can be, but it depends on how much time you can put into the business, and various other bits and pieces of things that can happen. So generally in year one, think I might not earn any money, but that's absolutely okay. And when the foundations are well laid in that year one, you're set up much better to operate in years going forward. And it's better doing that than expecting 70K a year and leaving your job role and drinking those cocktails on the beach somewhere within 3 months, because I can tell you now it's not likely to happen. I haven't managed a beach and cocktails yet, but our sourcing business was still very successful. It's just choice as to what you want to do with your success. That's it today for our mini compliance. Thank you for watching live if you are. If you're watching on catch up, thank you for watching us on catch up. If you want to get in touch with NAPSA, if you're struggling with anything, if you've got any questions, our email is hello@napsa.org.uk, or you can go to the website, which is www.napsa.org.uk. As always, I will be back with you next Tuesday at the usual time for another mini compliance. So until then, have a great week.